Hi guys, and welcome back to another gold video. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today is shuffling. Now, for those of you who are kind of new to gold making, this might be a new concept, since I don't know if it was in Warlords of Draenor, and it certainly hasn't been in Legion in the same way it had been in the past, though I've done some ore shuffling. But basically this was typically done with ore, in which you would take saronite or obsidium, or basically whatever ore there was, prospect it, and use the gems usually to craft or transmute. And basically you would start with this ore, but then you would turn it into so many other things and trickle it down through multiple professions, so that at the end of the day your profit margins were much higher than had you just bought raw mats as raw mats. And so this principle has typically applied to jewel crafting. However, there are other forms of shuffles, and I think that some of them may be being forgotten in Legion based on the prices that I'm seeing on my auction house. So I wanted to make sure you guys were thinking about these concepts so that you can make the most gold on your servers. Now, I was looking at my TSM earlier today, and it looks like I make about 100,000 gold per day from enchanting. And enchanting is probably one of my midline markets as far as how many sales I get from it. I do fairly well in it, and I really do like it because it's very hands-off. But unfortunately, the release of 7.1 had some interesting impact on the enchanting market, which you probably saw on your servers as well. A whole bunch of people went into mythics. They had to do 4 mythics to attune for Kara, and then they probably did at least some Kara. And all of these things were dropping epics. And obviously some people needed those epics, some people didn't, and there was this huge rush of people going into these mythics. And so there were all these chaos crystals entering the market. So I knew that this was going to rebound at some point, because of course it was. In a week or two, no one was going to be running mythics, and already they were 1200 gold on my server before the release of the patch. They went down to 400 gold. I bought up a ton. I think they're up to 800 gold now or something of the sort, and they'll probably keep going up as more and more people have finished Kara, have finished their mythics. And honestly, the big issue I've run into then is Leylight Shards. Leylight Shards had been kind of getting around 65 gold a piece, but now that everyone's confident enough to run mythics because they know they can, because the quest forced them through it, now that not a lot of people are getting blues from their world quests, they're geared enough to be getting epics from their world quest, there's really not a big source of Leylight Shards entering the economy. And the same with greens. If people only go out and do their world quests, they're not out there questing and leveling and killing lots of trash mobs, you're going to see less greens as well. And so Arkhana and Leylight Shards were actually becoming my big issue, and it certainly helps that I was sitting on that stockpile of chaos crystals from when the market crashed. So lately, my server's Leylight Shards have been getting up to around 90 gold a pop, and as a result, the Arkhana have also gone up as well. Now keep in mind, any Leylight Shard can be turned into 3 Arkhana through Ley Shatter. So it's kind of, a 3 to 1 ratio at all times is always something to keep in mind. But so we have these 90 gold Leylight Shards and then 36 gold Arkhana. So obviously you can think right there, just buy Leylight Shards, shatter them, you get like, what is that, 16 gold profit off of each one? I don't know. Anyways, that's low level gold making. We're gonna kick it up a notch. We need some even cheaper Leylight Shards and Arkhana, right? Well, what do you think when you think cheap enchanting mats? Shuffling. Always think shuffling. What you need if you want enchanting mats is crafted gear that you can disenchant. So we need to look at what makes crafted gear and what those materials are. You've got your jewel crafting, which the gems are hard to get and kind of expensive. So that's not the best. I do admit that I've done some ore shuffling and it is profitable, but I came out spending around 50 to 60 gold per Leylight Shard, and that was only when I got really good deals on ore, so it wasn't great. Granted, it was covered by the fact that I could then get the blue quality gems to sell, so it was still profitable, but it wasn't perfect. I needed something better. Blacksmithing, unfortunately, because ore prices have remained quite high on my server, it's not that great. I have a great blacksmith. I've ranked 3 on pretty much everything, but I just could not easily craft a bunch of stuff to disenchant. So then what else do we have? Tailoring and leatherworking. These 2 things are so great at getting cheap materials to craft into gear that I actually dropped, you're going to hear this right, I dropped herbalism and mining in order to pick up these 2 professions on my druid, because I simply do not want to gather anymore. I'm so sick of it. And I can make, I know herbalism's been hot, but I can make significantly more gold with leatherworking through shuffling and with tailoring through shuffling than I can from gathering. So I dropped both of them to pick up the 2 armor crafting professions that I was missing. So now that I have these crafting professions, what do I do with them? Bracers. It's always about the bracers. Now, we're not talking about the Obliterum Forge bracers because those are too mat intense for what we're actually trying to do. We're talking about the basic ones that you learn through your very early profession quests. So it's warhide bindings for the leatherworker, and I believe probably silkweave bindings or something of that sort for tailoring. Now, unfortunately, tailoring's rank 3 for this pattern comes from a world quest, so you need to be at 110 and wait for this world quest to pop in order to get it. So it's going to maybe take you a little bit longer. I still don't have it, so I've been amassing cheap cloth in my bank in order to take advantage of that once I actually get the pattern. But stonehide leather for leatherworkers is much easier. The warhide bindings, the rank 3 comes from a boss drop. It drops from Xavius and Darkheart Thicket. So you can just run out there, get that real quick, bam, you're at rank 3. That means that it only takes 9 stonehide leather to make these warhide bindings. The warhide bindings you craft into a blue, and they might proc into an epic version. And you just send those to your disenchanter and disenchant all of it. The epics will possibly proc a chaos crystal. I think it's about a 10% chance to be a chaos crystal, and that's just bonus on top of everything else. And if not, they'll disenchant the Leylight Shards. And of course, those Leylight Shards, all of them, can then be shattered down into Arkhana. So this is a way to get a lot of very cheap enchanting materials, because I was paying around 6 gold per stonehide leather, which is a fairly common price on my server. Because of these new 7.1 Falcosaur world quests, there's basically always a world quest up that allows lots of skinnable mobs to be killed by a lot of people. So if skinners are out there, they're often skinning, so the prices on stonehide leather are quite low right now. Though I will say that if for whatever reason you want to farm your own leather, I'm going to link to a video in the comments of this one from Want to Buy Gold. When I saw his strategy for farming stonehide leather, it made me want to be a skinner just to use this spot. He's got a really great strategy for it, and I think everyone should see it because it's mind-blowing what a cool idea it is. And so you can snatch up lots and lots and lots and I typically get my Leylight Shards for essentially around, around 45 gold per shard. And I'm not even going to try and, so 15 gold per Arkhana. And keep in mind on my server, that's usually 90 gold per shard and 36 gold per Arkhana. And obviously I could sell those mats raw, or I can make enchants with them. And I do both because I get so much enchanting mats that I can't do only one or the other or I'll flood the market. But I can do both and get plenty of gold. And the funny thing is sometimes people will buy the materials, look for an enchanter to make their stuff. I will make their stuff and they will tip me. It's like, why didn't you just buy this off the auction house? But they don't realize that I'm that same person. And then another bonus of doing this is when you disenchant, you have a chance to get Blood of Sargeras on your disenchanter, which I highly recommend making the 805 relics, the Immaculate Fibril and the Soul Fibril. I forget which one's which, but one of the patterns drops from cat-type mobs in Suramar. Look it up. There's some cat mobs that drop it, some of them don't, so you want to make sure you're spending your time on the right cat mobs. It's also a great way to farm ley blood. And then the other one comes from a curious coin. You might have picked these up at the end of a mythic dungeon or something of the sort. You only need one, so once you have one curious coin, go to the vendor kind of in the back of what you might call the Horde Bank if you played in Wrath of the Lich King. I think his name, it's a consortium guy of some sort, and he will sell you the pattern that you are missing. And make those and sell them on the auction house. If there's no one competing, which often there aren't from the one that comes from the Curious Coin, I will frequently sell these for 22,000 gold. And people undercut me down to 4,000 gold because they're idiots. But they sell, and I have no idea why, because they really shouldn't, because you can get much better ones from World Quests, but for some reason people buy my relics up like crazy. So make those relics with your Bloods of Sargeras and all these really cheap enchanting mats you've been picking up. During this video, I think I spent around 14,000 gold on stonehide leather. I made about 300, and I'm just fudging the numbers here because I didn't look, but I made around 330 bracers, so about 30,000 gold worth of Leylight Shards if I sold just Leylight Shards. And then obviously I don't do that and I turn them into more profitable things instead. So this is a great way to really get the most bang for your buck for enchanting. And all it needs is a leatherworker and eventually a tailor once you can get that world quest. So I hope it helped you guys out. As always, shuffling is a great thing. You just have to find those special patterns that are going to make it work. Have a great day, guys.